So this is how I'm working with the hand today. Again, it's a non-habitual thing, or patterning, I should say, not thing. It's a non-habitual way because there's no reference per se to failure. Whereas the hand below the shoulder, we have much more judgment over. So again, nothing in his wrist that he likes to bring his wrist up. So now what I'm going to do is start to fine tune it. So that's where I see, okay, I think wrist, Will would like his wrist, tongue tired, to go up. So that's where that's where my brain just said, okay, that's where I'm going after with at least the first part of his lesson. See how I can work on that extension right through here, just that little bit. Here you can feel it's a little bit different than right here. And again, as I come over, I can switch out. So it's more the thumb. So I'm going to go in here. Now again, I could have gone at this hand 15,000 different ways. This is one of 15, probably million. You can do the same lesson on 10 people. You're going to get just totally different results. I don't memorize lessons. I'll flip them over, let's say, to the other side. It'll be similar, but it'll be different because I have to respond to the hand versus repeating the lesson.
And you have to go with the flow.
There we go. Now the ulnar radius just totally changed. And now just from those quickies, I can go back and see, look at the difference now of how I can lift the wrist. And this kind of is like, it's like touching a typewriter. You guys don't know what a typewriter is.
I do.
And notice too, I'm allowing that fall. He's on foam. I know he's safe. And the more I allow that to happen, look at that, so much nicer. So now that I have the basic movements in, this is where I call it the microsurgery without knives. So literally, you saw the iPad. I'm going into all this, not only the bones, but you saw the finites of the ligaments. So here what I'm doing on top of moving, just like the pelvis should do, I'm allowing the hand to start breathing. So I'm actually, with the fingers underneath, as I'm pushing in, I'm bringing the palm out. So I'm teaching the hand that it can spread. And spread means if I go to put my hand down or do something, my hand should reach the table and spread out versus just clunk down. And that's what I'm doing with him. But now his thumb is totally getting what it needed. It was the thumb that really didn't. See when I lift through the here with the thumb? And now also lifting him just lightly off the table. See how I'm bringing his fingers down is also part of working on these small bones. I'm allowing his sensory process, in a sense, that reach of his fingers of hitting the table is getting feedback. So he's getting a lesson from here. That's just, quote, I'm using my props to my best ability, but I'm here. And also what you can't see is how much now, I'm to his toes. I can move his system. So now what I'm going to do after all of this, just a tad here in the ulnar radius. Just a tad. My fingers are underneath here, very similar like I do along the neck. There we go. Now go back to the hand. Did that make a difference?
I could see movement even up top of his shoulder.
Like I said, you can see the feet too, but
When you first started, that wasn't happening. It's like loosening everything up.
what it is too, though, because of the props, too, that he's allowing his arm to just fall down. Now, one thing, now, this might not be a first lesson I would give someone because I have so much other things to work on.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even begin to tell you what just doing hands for an hour, or just really feet for an hour, or just a body part for an hour, because my lessons are an hour. What a lot of people would see this, great, the hands, great, let me do the rest of the body. That's to me where they drop the ball from being half decent to just, and this is something too you can just do to your loved one, watching TV. It doesn't
Yeah, I
have to,
do
you
that
don't have to
every
go
night.
buy a table or,
Yeah.
right there.
I do it to Joe all the time because he broke both his wrists when he was young, twice. And ever since, he says he used to get this sharp pain when it was cold, or when he was just walking around, he'd get sharp pain all the time. And it doesn't happen anymore. He doesn't complain about it.
Now what I'm doing here is the knuckles are going down and around to the table. So same thing where it used to be the fingertips, now I'm doing the knuckles, but I'm still, my concentration is to the fine bones. I was at karate, and one of my masters is a 9th degree black belt. He's a one under Mr. Norris, but he was talking about, he was having empathic conversation to someone and their chronic pain, and he goes, oh, my hands, they're so arthritic. So I started, I just grabbed his hands really without permission, so he's kind of grabbed back, or went back sort of like the Don Palmolive ads where he was, I'm like, oh, shut up and keep talking, let me have your hands. And he's like, you can't help me, I broke that hand 15 times. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know how you're in your 9th degree black belt because you're not a good fighter, but he's a street fighter since he was a kid, so he was very proud. Usually he broke their jaw as he was breaking his hand, but prior to him working on me, all he could do was do his hands like this. He could no longer do his hands flat together. And after the first lesson, the one hand, the left hand, was flat. And the next night when I came to karate, he was like a little kid. He's showing me his hand and he'll start running to me. Where do you want me to sit? I'm like, oh, I guess I'm giving you a lesson. So, and the other hand had been broken, I think, 20 sometimes. So
That's awesome.
there we go. That's much. So see how even with the extension here, look at the ulna and the radius, how they can articulate at different levels. So the extension is starting to come through the lower arm as well as the hand. Now at this point, I can get again more grandiose, and now I can start looking for the torque. So now I'm here, and I'm actually going to come into the first knuckle, and I'm just lightly torquing it. There we go. So there's a torque going down
here.
And also, I like to work the 4 fingers and then hit the thumb, but it's it's whatever's available. I was so excited. I had a little boy sleeping in his car seat still, so I'm like, oh, I worked the one foot for a half hour, go and work the other foot. I'm like, oh, I should be recording this because he's just out cold, and I was doing the artificial floor. Yeah, he woke up. So he had a half hour of his one foot quite nicely. So now here, I have an issue with the torque. So I'm bringing my thumb down.
So you can work on somebody that's sleeping?
Oh, absolutely. I had this guy, Bob. He had foot surgery, and I had to undo the pain of the surgery, which again, once you have surgery, especially to the foot, I don't know what they've done. I mean,
Yeah.
so I knew I had to undo the surgery in a sense. I swear he wasn't asleep before he even laid down, much less. So the first time he gets up, I don't feel any difference, and I'm thinking, I don't know how you felt any difference, you sound asleep. He came back. same thing, fell sound asleep, slept for the whole hour, don't notice much difference, left. Third time I finally was like, okay, Bob, anything? You're here 3 times. Oh, my foot's like, completely healed, you fixed it and stuff, and this is my last visit. But then he used to come for tune-ups, but, so he was my proof that, and I always used to work on Graham all the time, half, asleep or going to sleep. And Graham's biggest change when he was an infant, when Marilee Platt was working on him, I was upset because he was sound asleep going into the lesson. I'm thinking, great, there goes my money. And she worked with him in the stroller, and his feet, he didn't have the Babinski right at 2.5. He still had the clenched toes, and the toes came out during the lesson and stuff, so he could turn around and walk heel toe. So it was it wasn't one of his most important, but I would say it was one of the most noticing effects that I saw from a lesson that.
I remember when you guys came back from San Francisco, he grew. He looked like a new, different kid. I'm like, where's Graham? Because he went over there like this. And he was all straight up walking. I remember that. I'm like, wow.
The wrist just popped just a tad. So now I'm going to go into the thumb and work on a torque. The thumb is quite interesting, especially when you have children with the delays, because what the thumb wants to do is to clench to the fist.
Mm-hmm.
The thumb, and again, it's a fine line, you don't want to stretch, but notice as I'm working with the thumb, I've just done all this wrist work. So now I can actually turn the hand and start bringing the thumb out. Now you'll see some people will be hyperextended, like my son. I can just bend that sucker back. It's not about the yoga pose. I'm looking for how the thumb is mobile around the wrist. Mm-hmm. And yes, this is what separates us from the chimpanzees, from the big boys, but having the mobile thumb. But you'll see kids that start to have delay, since they're not used to grabbing things, that the thumb will start doing odd shapes like this or like this, but it wants to stay in coordination, because again, they don't have a sense of gravity, so their hands don't go to the surface like that. And again, notice I'm not looking for that ultimate stretch, but I'm looking for the mobility, the articulation, all that, the organization, and how the thumb. Now at this point too, I can look back. Going this way, coming up is quite nice. Now this meaning, notice I can't get his hand in a 90-degree angle, so he would have a hard time crawling. Mm-hmm. He could do it probably, but you can see if I'm going to force here, see, so there's no way this is not at a right angle. So if I were to force him at this position without now working on the back, I would really be doing him a disservice. And also he would be doing it to himself if he was all of a sudden saying, because this is what guys like to do, oh yeah, I can get down on all fours, no problem. And they'll force the hand in the position. But I'm looking at it now, there's some work here that I need to do in between the ulna and the radius.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll bring it. There we go. His hand adjusted again.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting it, because the way I feel the tension through here, to get him in a 90-degree angle. So it's not a goal of mine per se right now. I'm just noticing it, and then that's where, if I have to work on him again, I need to go look at that kind of situation. I'm not expecting to drop and do 50 push-ups, but anything that his brain is saying, I can't get off the ground. If I fall down, people don't look at that. They go, get up. Mm-hmm. People don't know how to get up. And this is one of the signs. So it might be just something like this, so he'll avoid going down and going up. He doesn't know it. He might, and I'm saying he might. I shouldn't say he will avoid, he might avoid it. Or he'll get up only through the left side, because maybe that hand is more available to do something like that. See, now at this point, I can just totally, the arm's mine. And I haven't worked on the arm. but that's a whole nother story. I'm still
Yeah.
just on the hand. And also, you know, here, remember when we started, just the lightness in the hand, and now like look at the whole arm.
Wow.
And again, my touch is just,
And I know
this would be like playing with water
Yeah.
to me. You know, if water's just running through your hands and you're just, this is where my touch is. And again, I'm just doing this for quickness.
Mhm.
I'm still a mom, so in my head I'm going da-dum, 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 da-dum.
And
But-
this hand looks like it relaxed because before
Oh, it
I
has to.
started, he had this finger right there.
With the hand like
Yeah.
this, guaranteed his breathing's now changed, because if his breathing were still in a startle, then I couldn't do this. This is where you start learning about the function of the whole system. Even just the tension of his jaw, so clench your jaw.
Yeah.
I don't have the quickness. It's lost its whole circulatory because I've messed with the gyro. So let the jaw go and see, and now it's there again, you know, and I have the quickness back. So, but when you look at obvious things, the jaw, the hands, what I can tell you now, even though I didn't do beforehand, if I just go behind this mastoid process and stuff, that the head is organized completely different on the skull, just based off of the changes in the hand. It just has to be. His sit bones are going to react differently. Because also, and again, I deal with the skeletal system, but you've dealt with such finite process in these little bones here, then every bone has to respond because the little bones have responded. So that means I've definitely gotten to the big bones.
Mhm.
And that's saying that very basically. I can go into a whole scientific argument over that, but. And so propping in this position is just very simple. I tried this. Now this would work just fine because this is after the lesson, but he actually was much more that I needed to do something like this. So I really took gravity away from the arm so the hand would be more available in this position. And to show you too, where I said now that the hand is mine, I didn't work on the shoulder, the back or anything, but now I can just work around the arm and it's there. So now I'm going to just take this thing off the tripod. So my argument was, if you don't think that a hand affects scoliosis, that you can see how much from doing the right hand that the right hip is down at a lower level in a sense than the left hip. So I'm going to come around from the other side. So, but now just lift the right hand and feel, and now the left. Notice how you use much more muscles in the left.
And you can tell on his chest cavity. Oh.
Hi, it's Michelle from Movement Lesson, and if you'd like to see more of this video, I now have a new site for that's subscription based for my longer videos or my instructional videos. So if you're interested in seeing the complete set of this lesson, to sign up it's $5 a month or $50 a year, and that helps pay for lessons for other children. So thanks.